Welcome, true crime lovers. This is Underage and Full of Rage. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Underage and Full of Rage, the podcast where the convicted are minors and their crimes are anything but. I am your host, Becky, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Adam.
Hello.
So today's story takes place in 1989 in Kresgeville. I looked it up. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. If it's not, don't get mad at me. Get mad at the website that told me to pronounce it that way. So it is in Pennsylvania, and it's in Monroe County, and has about 665 residents. Although Monroe County is pretty large, Kresgeville itself is a very small town. It's about 30 minutes west of Stroudsburg, if that helps, you know, when you're looking on a map to see like where the location is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I was looking at it, it kind of just looks like like a town we would drive through or drive right past when we're on a road trip. Like that little town off the side of the road that...
Yeah, you just rip right by because there's like 9 people there.
Yeah, and before you know it, we're out of it.
Like Delaware.
Yeah, pretty much. So, when I was looking up things to do there, I kept seeing things for museums, restaurants, and outdoor activities. However, I was unable to actually find specifics. And the only thing that did keep popping up that was pretty consistent was that there is the Big Creek Vineyard and Winery. So, there's that.
Sounds like a lot.
I'm assuming they have a post office at least and like a food store, but yeah, I couldn't find anything really on it. So I can only assume that this town probably felt even smaller back in the 80s when this story takes place, which does begin with school being canceled on March 6th, 1989 due to snow. And considering the size of this town, it's no surprise that a bunch of kids from the neighborhood found themselves over at Richard and Trudy Ratty's house, whose 6 children were also home from school that day. Considering the neighborhood kids had flocked to the Ratty's house when they, found out that they didn't have to go to school, this leaves me with the impression that their house was kind of like the hangout house for the local kids. Kind of reminded me of my house back in the day, how we always everyone just always ended up at my house.
Show up.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. Everybody just always was there. So among the group of children, there was 7-year-old Jessica Carr and 9-year-old Cameron Kocher. Jessica was close friends with one of the Ratty's daughters, and Cameron was the Ratty's next door neighbor. So the, stocky, sandy-haired boy often played at the Ratty's house since they had a Nintendo console, and he didn't have one of his own. Totally 80s.
Very 80s.
Well, not everyone had one. So on March 6th, 1989, after his parents had left for work, his dad Keith was a laborer and his mom Patricia was a seamstress. He headed over to the Ratty's house and joined the rest of the kids who were taking turns playing the game Spy Hunter. And I didn't remember this game. Do you remember this game at all?
No.
Yeah, okay. So the concept is you basically drive your sports car down the freeway, shooting and killing as many enemy vehicles as possible while also protecting civilian cars from harm. It was apparently an arcade game, and then it became available for home consoles. I think it was like a year or so later, so it was like 1984 or some shit like that.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
I even looked up like what it looked like, the cover. I don't remember it at all. Yeah, it was not a game that we played or anything like that growing up. Anywho, at some point while the kids are playing, Jessica turns to Cameron and challenges him to a round and kind of brags to him that she has a Nintendo of her own now so she can, get further than him. And she makes a claim that she had already beat the dragon, which the concept of the game, I feel like a dragon doesn't belong in this.
Where does a dragon end up in that?
That's
is
what
that like the main boss?
Well, I don't know, because apparently when I was reading about this game, it was supposed to be like a Bond-style game. And I feel like dragons belong in Zelda, not in Bond.
Not in Bond, yeah.
And
that's weird.
And if it's literally like the top view of the car going down the freeway, so that's the thing I don't get also. I'm like, where's there a dragon?
It doesn't make sense.
But apparently there was one and she had beat it, so she was like pretty stoked because she was like, I'm gonna like whip your ass in this video game. And according to sources, Jessica did end up beating Cameron, but before Cameron could challenge her to a rematch, Richard Ratty had noticed a mess of empty cups and bowls that were left by the children in the kitchen, which annoyed him. So he ended up telling the kids that they were done playing Nintendo and it was time to go outside. Richard recalled how, after he did this, Cameron was angered by this order and vehemently told Richard that he wasn't responsible for the mess. But by this point, it didn't really matter because the rest of the kids had moved on and they all started riding snowmobiles in the Raddies' yard. Richard asked Cameron if he wanted to join. Cameron had said basically that, he wasn't allowed to. His parents had told him he couldn't do it, so he pretty much just kind of left the house, and Richard Raddy said he kind of just like stomped home, like, just like an angry little kid. Yeah, so while Cameron retreated to his house alone, the rest of the bunch were still taking, in the snow day and enjoying themselves. At one point, one of the Raddies' daughters, Shannon, and her friend, 7-year-old Jessica Carr, were riding the snowmobile together with Shannon driving and Jessica sitting behind her. All of a sudden, Jessica just starts leaning on Shannon really hard, so she tells her to stop because it was like messing her up. But Jessica didn't listen, and after realizing that she wasn't stopping, Shannon figured something must have been wrong. So she turns around, and what she sees is Jessica in a questionable state. When she turned around, what she saw was Jessica with her eyes completely rolled into the back of her head. It turns out that Jessica had been shot. The bullet went through the middle of her back, which caused her to propel forward, which is why she was leaning on her. And then the bullet actually ended up piercing her spine and puncturing her right lung. In a frantic state, the Raddies brought Jessica into their home and laid her down on their living room floor with the kids huddled around her, praying and crying for their friend who was dying. The Raddies didn't know what to think, but Richard's first thought was that there was a crazed sniper on the loose. And so after he had called the cops, he immediately called Cameron and told him to get back to their house. Because in that moment, he was thinking about Cameron being home alone and, the safety of his 9-year-old child. So shortly after ordering the 9-year-old back, Cameron walked through the door, and as he passed the kids huddled around Jessica, remember now they are crying and hysterical because she is legit dying on their floor, he calmly says, quote, "If you don't think about it, you won't be sad," end quote, and then sat down and started playing a video game by himself. Is that not creepy?
That's disturbing.
That's
disturbing.
Nonchalant. Fucking creepy, right? So, when the state troopers spoke to Cameron about the incident, he told them he was sleeping when it occurred. They did notice that Cameron had a suspicious half-moon cut on his forehead. The kind of cut one may get from looking through a scope when the gun recoils. So, regardless of Cameron's claims, the state troopers had good reason to believe that there was something up with this 9-year-old. And because of this suspicion, a search of the Kocher residence was conducted. What they did discover was blood on one of Cameron's dad's rifles, but they also found blood near a bedroom window on the second floor. It turned out this was the blood of Cameron, and 2 days later, it was announced that a 9-year-old had been arrested in the killing of Jessica Carr.
Fucking 9-year-old.
So I have to say this, though. 2 days later, in 1989, which means they couldn't have known for sure it was his blood until probably weeks later, the earliest. DNA was so fucking slow back then.
They might have done some, blood type, though.
I would think
Type
even
A,
that.
Type A. Yeah, it's the 80s, though.
That's what I'm saying. The 80s, that's probably all you could do. And that still that wouldn't be 2 days later you weren't getting those results.
Oh, I thought those tests were pretty rapid. Even in the 80s, just your blood test. Because, now you could get things where you just prick your finger and you pop it on paper and it's you're type A. That's what I'm saying. So in the 80s, I couldn't see.
I don't know. I'll have to look into it because I feel like that doesn't add up. I don't know. I feel like DNA and stuff like that didn't really even take off until late 90s.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about
DNA. To just do no, but I'm saying to just get a blood type, I could see in the 80s, I feel like you would have to take it. You have to send it out to the lab, have to get it tested, have to get it sent back. I couldn't see it being an immediate thing.
Got it.
So, that's why I'm I have to.
I feel like it would have been quick back then, but I don't know.
Interesting. Maybe just blood type was quicker.
Yeah, because you're not talking about some complex, you know what I mean?
Look at you. It's not complex.
No, it's not fucking DNA, you know what I mean?
I guess.
There's 4 types, that's it.
I guess. That's a good point. What do you think would happen if they discovered another blood type? Wouldn't that be crazy?
I think they actually did on I can't Inverted World. The guy Shane Cashman's on Timcast. He covered it because he's convinced it's like an alien or something like that.
What?
But yeah, pretty sure he said they found a new blood type. I can't remember what he said it was called though.
That's crazy.
This is probably within the past like 3 months.
What's the like? Where did it come from?
I didn't watch the Inverted World. I just saw him on the Timcast.
Oh, maybe we'll watch it after this.
So, yeah.
Because that's pretty interesting. What are the odds that I just said that and you were like, oh, within the last 3 months they actually have?
Yeah.
Okay, we got sidetracked.
That's what he said anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's bullshit.
I'm like, these days I feel like you never know. That's why you always gotta like look hard into everything.
Yeah.
And even then you still don't know. So, all right, getting back to it. Although Cameron initially told the state troopers he was sleeping when Jessica was shot, he later changed his story a couple of times. First, he said that he was playing hunter and the rifle had just gone off. And then he said he was using the scope to look at trees and snow and didn't see any children. He denied ever firing the gun intentionally, and that was the one detail in all of his versions he would stick to. Regardless of what he said happened, he always made it seem like, no, I didn't purposely shoot the gun. So what exactly did happen when Cameron left the Raddies' house that day is, well, let's start with the fact that first Cameron was very knowledgeable and comfortable with both guns and hunting. And so when he went home that day disgruntled about the fact that a 7-year-old girl had just beaten him at a video game, his anger was festering. So he went and he retrieved a hidden key that unlocked his father's gun cabinet. He took out a .35 caliber Marlin rifle, went and got the appropriate ammo for it, which, side note, was also located in a separate drawer that was locked, so he had to obviously take extra steps to get the ammo. He then proceeded to load the gun, and when he was done, he opened the bedroom window, he removed its screen and took aim. He focused the rifle on the snowmobile that was moving slowly through the Raddies' yard, which was only 100 yards away. When he found his target, he pulled the trigger, and while Jessica was fighting for her life, he calmly replaced the screen, returned the rifle to its cabinet, and placed the shell casing back in the ammo box. So it turns out that the half-moon-shaped cut on Cameron's forehead was caused when the gun recoiled while he was looking through the scope, just as the troopers suspected it did. And with the blood found on the gun and near the window, it helped solidify the case against the young boy. The main problem with this case was that Cameron was only 9 years old. And in 1989, no one that young had ever been charged as an adult with murder before. This prompted the nation to look at the way our judicial system punishes kids who commit vile acts, while at the same time questioning how it seeks proper justice for the victims. There was a huge debate about whether Cameron should be treated like a boy or a man due to his age. And honestly, the way the public treated Cameron and his family just shows how much times have changed. If this happened today, I am very confident in saying that the empathy and sympathy the Kochers received would most likely be non-existent. Richard even stated that he felt the sympathy amongst the community had been misplaced, and he told reporters that, quote, "You can't feel as bad for the Kochers as you should for the Carrs," end quote. So after Cameron was arrested, he was evaluated, and psychiatrists determined that although he was a normal child, he was emotionally removed from what he had done. There was even reports of him falling asleep during one of his first court appearances, which only contributed to this concept of him being disassociated with his acts. And now, back in 1989, Pennsylvania was traditionally known for doling out long sentences to those who committed homicide, regardless of age. So when a judge decided 5 months later that Cameron would be charged and tried as an adult, the community wasn't too surprised by the decision. The judge decided this due to the shooting being willful and deliberate, and being charged as an adult meant that Cameron was automatically facing life in prison if convicted. Cameron ended up being released on a $50,000 bond, and while out on bond, he was allowed to attend another school in a different district under a different name. Again, times have changed.
Yeah.
That would never happen today.
No, definitely not.
You would definitely be held in a detention facility. You wouldn't even be released.
I couldn't see you being released at all.
You would totally be in a detention facility. Like, That blew my mind when I read that. I was just like, he went to another school?
That is mind-blowing.
Yeah, under like an assumed, whatever it's called, unassumed name or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Like he had a total alias. Isn't that crazy?
The fuck you send a kid like that into a school?
Well, also,
you know what I mean?
A 9-year-old.
Did you tell any of the fucking parents?
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, so you don't even let the parents know probably what your child, like with the child that's amongst their children. But then like, how can you trust a 9-year-old's just gonna like, oh yeah, I'm Marty.
Be a 9-year-old, yeah.
Like how do you even train a 9-year-old to listen to a different name, right?
Sure as shit got me.
I was so blown away by that. So Cameron's lawyer was desperately trying to get this case into juvenile court, so much so that the pretrial appeals were constantly bouncing back and forth. And then finally, after 3.5 years, Donna, Jessica's mother, reluctantly agreed and signed off on a plea deal. And as a result, Cameron, now 13, was convicted of a misdemeanor of involuntary manslaughter and was sentenced to probation until he turned 21. He received no jail time, and it would not go on his permanent record.
That is astonishing.
Donna had told reporters, quote, involuntary manslaughter means it's an accident, but it wasn't an accident, end quote. And Richard Ratty called it a total disgrace, and he's not wrong. After the conviction, Donna, who had been extremely bothered by the sentence, was tired of, keeping these feelings in. And in 1993, she went on a talk show and said, quote, he should have gone to jail for life. He took my daughter's life and he gets to be free, end quote. Now, I do agree with her here, but I also have to inquire, then why did you agree to it? Is it a case of like, I just wanted it over with?
Yeah, I don't know. But I feel like even then, wouldn't you be like, no, this is fucking bullshit.
This is unacceptable.
I don't care that I want this over with. This is a load of shit.
This is unacceptable. This kid should be doing some jail time. That's the only thing, like, I understand, like, you're very bothered by it after the fact, but it's one thing like that other case we covered where she was like, I think it was the bookie case where the mom's like, I didn't realize that was a part of it when I signed off on it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is blatant as day. Like, this, what the person's going to be charged with.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I don't know. I just wonder, like, what made you sign it? That's why I was like, could it have just been, like, sheer exhaustion of having to deal with the constant, like, going back and forth, having to bring it up again, having to drub it every time, like, you go, like, pre-trial, how they were bouncing back and forth and how it just kept, like, going on forever. Like, maybe she was just like, I have to end this to move on with my life.
Yeah.
But then afterwards regretted being like, I made, like, a rash decision in that moment, maybe, and was like, what the fuck? This is so fucked up. Like, when she really had time to process it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I'm just so curious. I'm not judging by any means, like, but I'm just wondering, like, what would lead you to that,
What went down that road?
Yeah, that's why I have to put, I'm not judging. I didn't, like, whatever, do what you need to do, but that's why I'm just super curious, I guess you could say. So it's been now 36 years since 9-year-old Cameron Kocher shot and murdered 7-year-old Jessica Carr, and his whereabouts are unknown. What we do know is that since this happened, it appears he has not made any headlines since, nor has he hurt or killed anyone else as far as we know. And that, everybody, was the murder of 7-year-old Jessica Carr.
As far as we know.
Yes, as far as we know. It's a very short, quick one today, but being that it's from the late 80s and it's obviously two very young children, the resources were super limited on this one, but I still wanted to tell it. I just think it's interesting to see the changes in time, because had this happened today, this turnout would have been much different. I think Cameron would have went to jail for the rest of his life. But since he didn't have...
He would have at least went to prison.
Yeah, he would have done some time. And again, since he didn't reoffend, as far as we know, like, who's to say, like, if it was today and he did end up getting locked away for the rest of his life, that would have been the right call. I don't know. There are people who do one and done, so...
It is true.
And at 9 years old, like, I mean, it's one thing when it's a 16-year-old, but at 9 years old, like, I don't know. I go back and forth because considering he was very versed in hunting. Like, then when you pick up that gun and you shoot at something,
You know what you're doing.
Yeah, you do understand life and death at that point. You do understand the intention. You do understand at the other end of the rifle, the thing you are aiming at will die, because you've seen it before with hunting. So you do grasp that. And that's what I struggle with, because it's like, if it was, and I feel like if it was under any other circumstances with a 9-year-old, I'd be like, again, like a 16-year-old, a 9-year-old, that's a little different. That's not really comprehending the full extent of actions. But then when you put the knowledge of hunting in there, that changes.
You kind of do know.
Yeah, so I go back and forth. I don't know. I don't know. I do think that him not spending a single time in jail is very fucked up.
Yeah, that's very horrible and surprising. Even for those, I feel like for those times, it's surprising they didn't just throw him in a fucking box and lock it.
Yeah, and especially because they were known for doling out really, they were known, but I also didn't know, I'm wondering if maybe the town and community had something to do with the lighter sentence too, because like I said, they got a lot of sympathy and empathy. Like Cameron himself, like a lot of the people of the community it was weird, like they were kind of like, not in support of him by any means, but it was one of those where they almost stood behind him though, gave him a lot of grace because he was a 9-year-old boy, which today it would be like,
totally not.
The parents would be getting harassed. Everybody would be picketing out in front of, it would be a whole nightmare. And that's why I think it's just also very reflective of how different the times are. Like they were treated so differently for being the suspect's family. Because even these days, even if you're just a suspect, your family's being harassed. So,
yeah.
I mean,
and if you don't have anything to do with it, you knew somebody who had something to do with it, you're gonna get harassed now.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. It's just crazy. And again, that's why I'm like, I knew it was a very short one, but I still really wanted to tell it because I think it's just so telling of how much time has changed with these cases and bringing this stuff to light.
I'd say so.
Well then, on that note, you know what that means? It is our time for Shithead of the Week. Adam, me dear, who do you have for us?
A guy named Yurko, I'm guessing is how you say it. 37 from Miami Beach, fucking Florida.
Wait, is this like your third Florida in a
They're
row?
all like Florida, man. It's a trash state. It just pops up. No offense. I don't take offense. I don't care. So this is from February 28th. This dude got arrested.
Of this year?
Yeah, this year. People see him at the beach fucking, like, kind of smacking his dog around or something, and then all of a sudden they see him.
Wait, you said dog?
Yeah.
I thought you said daughter.
Oh, no,
For
dog.
a second, I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Dog. Okay, smacking dog around. Okay, go.
And all of a sudden they see him dragging the fucking thing out to, like, waist-deep water, and he was trying to drown him. And the lifeguards fucking stepped in, people started yelling at him. They tried ripping the dog away from him, and for some reason the guy yelled out, "Do you know who I am?" And later on, he was then charged with providing false ID, because apparently he doesn't know who he was. Animal cruelty, resisting, and disorderly conduct.
Wait, so is his real name Yurko?
His real name's Yurko. I didn't see what name he originally gave.
I'm wondering who he was claiming to be.
You know who I am? No, I don't care who you are. You're trying to drown a dog in the fucking ocean.
Yeah, it makes no difference who you are.
Those little shit dogs.
You could be Brad Pitt, but you're drowning a fucking dog.
It's still a
What
dog
is wrong
in the
with
ocean.
you? Oh, that poor puppy. So, I don't. Do you do any jail time for animal cruelty? What do you do for animal cruelty?
Yeah, you can. It's like up to a couple of years or something like that, and then fines and shit.
Okay. Oh, it's probably like you gotta pay like $5,000 or up to 5 years in jail.
Yeah, like that lady who drowned her dog at the airport. I think she got like probation and fines or something like that.
What the fuck? I don't know though. Isn't that weird though? Because as a child, if you're doing shit like that, you're like deemed like, hey, That's a
You're gonna be a
sign.
fucking serial
Yeah,
killer.
that's like red
But as an
flags.
adult, it's whatever.
Just give us $5,000 and go about your merry way.
Shows you how corrupt it is.
Right? Isn't that weird? I just thought of that.
I'd say that's fucked.
That doesn't make any sense. Why isn't there more of like a concern?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, how is that not a huge red flag? Like, you're over here killing puppies and
For no reason.
but it's okay.
It's not like it was attacking someone.
But if you were 8 years old doing that, it would be like, get this kid some
Be
fucking
in a
help.
mental institution. with
Yeah,
straight
put him
people.
on fucking meds. This is disturbing as fuck.
That's a good question.
It's interesting how we can flip-flop like that.
Yeah.
Or like how things are very parallel, but we don't perceive them as
But
parallel.
when you're a kid, it's different.
Right?
It's weird.
Very weird. All right, then. So, on that note, thank you for listening, everyone. And if you liked hanging out with us, let us know by following us on Spotify, Instagram, and or YouTube. If there is a case you would like us to cover, hit us up at uafrpod@gmail.com and let us know. Regardless, although I shouldn't say this, we should be back next week. I'm not entirely certain. They got some stuff going on that I don't know if we'll be able to get the recording in. We're going to try, but if we're not back next week, we will definitely be back the following week. So until then, just remember to not be a douche.
And don't drown dogs.
Yes, which would fall under the douche category. Have a good one, guys. See ya.